Well, g'day guys. I find myself at Allianz Stadium in Sydney for a little bit of a taste of Harley-Davidson's new X family, the X350 and the X500. The first things to come of Harley's tie-up with Chinese automotive giant MOTO, but perhaps more importantly, it's the first time Harley's been in the learner-approved segment since the remarkably high-selling Street 500 was discontinued in 2021. Harley-Davidson's clearly come out with a really well-priced, practical couple of bikes that are really going to open up the brand to a new area of the market, which is really important for the motorcycle industry as a whole. They're unintimidating and really, really easy, hop on and ride, great options for a learner rider for sure. From $8,500, it's a pretty easy thing to get into. So Harley's back in this area. Let's see what they're like. We've got a quick ride. Come along.
Where the hell am I? So we're actually riding around the tunnels underneath Allianz Stadium in Sydney. At time of recording, these bikes haven't gone through the approval process. So these bikes aren't registered yet, so Harley have had to be a little bit clever on the location. But they're giving us a bit of a first taste of the X350 and the X500 with a rather unique riding experience in the tunnels underneath the stadium. So I think it's fair to say I'll only get a fairly rudimentary taste of what these bikes are like. We should get a little bit of an understanding at the very least. The sort of elephant in the room, I think, with these things is, of course, they're built with MOTO in China, and these aren't the first bikes to come out of MOTO wearing a familiar badge, the most obvious being Benelli. And instantly I can see and feel a lot of things familiar with other bikes that came out of that factory. You know, the Benelli Leoncino 500 is absolutely one of those things. So really, what makes this bike a Harley is the styling. The X350, which I'm on right now, that's sort of almost like a XR750, so sort of heritage styling, while the X500 is more or less in line with sort of Sportsters, the Nightster. So it's a learner bike. They're learner bikes and they're built to be easy, of course. This very approachable, I think a 777mm seat height on the X350, a little bit taller on the X500. Lightweight, this is 180 kilograms wet. The X500 is 199 kilograms. But other than a power difference between the 353cc parallel twin X350 and the 500cc X500, spec-wise they're almost identical, both on 17-inch cast wheels, both Maxxis tyres, 41mm upside down forks at the front end, which I believe are adjustable for preload. Very basic motorcycles, but that's the category they're trying to play in. The Street 500 was a massive, massive seller for Harley-Davidson in Australia. Almost every month the Street 500 topped the sales charts. And I think it's just because, you know, when you're a learner, it's pretty hard to look cool, and seeing that Harley-Davidson badge and being able to be part of the Harley-Davidson fraternity, you know, it obviously means a lot to people. What else could it be? And so having these, the new Harley-Davidson X family, well, yes, let's be honest with ourselves. They're not going to give you the cred that a Harley-Davidson cruiser is going to, and they're not going to give you the same sort of riding experience, anywhere near the sort of riding experience that is sort of synonymous with the Harley-Davidson badge. But that doesn't necessarily mean that these are bad learner bikes. I've ridden bikes out of that factory before, as I said, and they are better than you might expect. Smooth, seem to be well built. Time's the biggest indicator with that sort of thing, but the Benelli Leoncino has been out for a long time, and I've heard pretty good reports. I enjoyed riding it. Great wheelie bike, believe it or not, for a Lamb's bike. Not that they put that on the brochure. But you know, while this is a fairly simple, primitive motorcycle, there is Harley-Davidson insignia all around the bike, and that's no mistake. Harley-Davidson knows what they're doing. So as their learner bikes, we have a little bit of a learner test simulation. Hope I pass. These are the sort of things you have to do to pass your test in Australia. It would be very embarrassing to not have been able to do that. Alright, acceleration test. What do they call this? Go to woe. Oh. There's sort of pressure, isn't there? Yeah,